Hey there, it's Stephanie Shea of janspiller.com with the August astrological forecast. August has the potential for having a lot of realizations, as well as making any revisions or redoing something that you've already started. The reason being, Mercury will be retrograde. Mercury stations retrograde on either August 4th or 5th, depending on your time zone. For West Coast people, Mercury retrograde is 9:56 p.m. on the 4th of August. For East Coast US, it's going to be very early on Monday, August 5th at 12:56 a.m. If you're in other parts of the world, check out the time zone converters and find out, when Mercury's going retrograde. The exact hour is not as important as just knowing the day that it's going to go retrograde. We're going to really be feeling that. Now, that what's interesting is around that same time, Venus moves into Virgo. So I feel like this is going to create some tension where people maybe feel like they should be accomplishing more. But this mix of confusing energies can set a tone that might lead to misunderstandings or false starts. Your best bet is going to be to remember about Mercury retrograde. Don't try to push things. It's not the month to force things forward. Now, global level, I'd say the astrology this month could leave people feeling confused and pulled in different directions. Not too much of a surprise as the US presidential elections start heating up. This could be a month where surprises, even more surprises, and conflicting information about candidates emerges. As the Olympic Games are finishing up in Paris, we might also see some confusion and controversy involving some of the athletes or competition rules. Now, it won't be a good time for major decisions or commitments. We might feel our attention divided, right? Mars will be in Gemini, which really kind of thrives under multitasking and not having to focus too long on any one thing. So block out distractions if you have to focus, because it could be easier to get distracted this month. And it could also feel tempting to overwork ourselves in the name of getting ahead. But really, if you're trying to move forward, you're going to be met with a lot of resistance. So balance your work life with more time for fun and relaxation. That's going to leave us feeling more rejuvenated and able to use our energy more efficiently. Now we've got the new moon this month is going to be on August 4th, and that's 7:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And that's a Leo new moon. So this moon is at 12 degrees Leo. Anyone born on or around August 4th, this is a big year coming up ahead for you. Whenever the new moon falls around your birthday, you're probably going to have more new beginnings than in previous years past. For all people, it's a fantastic time to set intentions surrounding topics that are ruled by the sign of Leo. This information comes from Jan Spiller's book, New Moon Astrology. So among other areas, Leo holds dominion over fun, play, creativity, recreation, romance, personal connections, generosity, children, self-confidence. There's a lot of ways you can use this new moon to focus on those specific areas of life that you may want to boost. For example, if you're looking for a romantic partner, Leo new moon, great one to set intentions regarding that. However, knowing Mercury's retrograde, you want to move slowly. It's a tricky time for dating. I'm not an astrologer who says don't date during Mercury retrograde, but I do say not to make any big commitments. You really have to stay present in the moment and make your assessments after Mercury goes direct. So let's look at some other things that are going on. We have a full moon at 27 degrees Aquarius, and anyone born around February 17th, within a day or so of that, could really be feeling energized at this full moon. You could also feel extra emotions, but usually when the full moon falls on your birthday is a time that you may find yourself in the spotlight, finally gaining some recognition for something you've been working on. For all people, the Aquarius full moon represents coming together, group projects coming to fruition. I'd say it's really highlighting our need for independence and freedom, and celebrating our unique selves. Aquarius is all about having the license to do things in your own way and not having to always conform to rules and things that don't make sense for who we are. So that's coming up mid-month. We're going to have some outer planet activity. There's a tense square going on between Jupiter and Saturn, and that's going to be exact by mid-August. Now think about the themes of these planets. Jupiter rules expansion and growth, while Saturn represents setting limits and what is realistic. So they're actually pretty good for balancing each other out. But the result can be that people feel they're testing the boundaries in their relationships, their work, and their personal endeavors. People might be feeling overly ambitious and embark on projects while lacking adequate time and resources to accomplish their goals. And knowing that Mercury is going to be retrograde, it's especially a good time to dial it back. If you have a big vision, that's great. Start with some baby steps and really think about, what do you need to finish before embarking on something new? Globally, I could see this Jupiter Saturn square leading to decisions by businesses or governments that might need to be modified or reined in. So we've got Mercury retrograde's kind of disruptive effects. It could be harder to keep track of all the details. So I'm envisioning maybe there'll be policies that attempt to solve problems on a large scale, kind of broad brush, but they don't take individual needs into account. Because both Saturn and Jupiter rule education, maybe there's going to be rules applying to schools, bringing up debates, how much students should be restricted in their freedom of speech or behavior. That's kind of ongoing in our world anyway, but this Jupiter Saturn square may magnify these themes. We've also got Uranus and Neptune in a favorable aspect called a sextile. This has actually been going on much of 2024. These outer planet aspects are more subtle. You really have to kind of think big picture. That's why a lot of times I really prefer personal astrology, things that are going to reach individuals and that they can use practically on a day-to-day basis. What's Mercury doing? What's Venus doing? What's Mars? What's the sun and moon doing? But I do like to go big picture once in a while. This is something Jan always did, and kind of thought, okay, well, this might be going on globally, and then how can we use this in our personal lives? So when I'm thinking about Uranus and Neptune in this favorable aspect, I think about feelings of instability when Uranus and Neptune are not working together. However, I think when they are working together, we could use our gut instincts in ways that benefit us, because Uranus is kind of radical change. It's very courageous. It's bold. It wants to do something new. And Neptune is our intuition. So when I think about this worldwide, I think about feelings of hope, motivating people to make positive change in the world. There's kind of a spontaneous energy present that can help people let down their guard and just instinctively do the right thing without worrying about how it will appear, or any of that. They just know this is the right thing to do. It doesn't matter if this person disagrees with me politically or whatever. When it comes down to emergency situations, you're going to do the right thing and help your fellow humans. So we could see volunteer efforts coordinated quickly and effectively by regular citizens that actually outdo the efforts of established aid organizations. I think there's going to be an innovative mood that will help people see beyond current limitations and circumvent any red tape that could prevent people from helping themselves or each other. So I like the kind of rebellious helping of each other that could happen here. In our personal lives, we might gain valuable insights or inspiration from a dream or meditative state. Instead of trying to figure out a complicated problem through force or following a logical outline, this may be good news to some people. We may find the answers coming to us when we allow our minds to drift and relax. That's the Neptune influence. It's going to be a good month to set aside some time for ourselves and visit locations that feel like a refreshing change of scenery. So spend time in nature and particularly near water. If you can get near even the beach, Neptune, the rules, the oceans. This could really help kind of clear your mind. And instead of forcing the solution to a problem, it will just come to you. Now, we talked a lot about Mercury retrograde, those dates again, August 5th through 28th. As the cycle begins, Mercury is in the sign of Virgo, which is the sign it rules. So, Mercury retrograde in Virgo could feel especially disruptive because people's ability to follow logic and pay attention to the details becomes impaired. So anyone born under the sign of Virgo might especially feel out of sorts and not up to their usual organized standards. When we direct our thoughts towards simplifying and addressing one thing at a time, this can be a very effective strategy during Mercury retro in Virgo. So the Virgo retrograde dates are between August 5th and 13th, ideal for activities such as editing, proofreading, any tasks that involve reviewing work that has already been done. We're actually a lot more likely to catch errors during this time period. So that's good news. August 14th, Mercury retrogrades back into Leo. I think this will shift the energy towards activities and passions we used to enjoy, but no longer make time for. Mercury retrograde in Leo can signal a return to things that delighted us as children, the enjoyment of time with loved ones. For those with unfinished creative projects, this time period from August 14th through 28th, while Mercury is retrograde in Leo, could be really productive. We'll all need to be mindful about other people's needs and feelings around this time, however, because when Mercury is retrograde in Leo, there can be a tendency to only pay attention to matters that directly affect us. So remember to ask questions and listen carefully to answers in order to get an accurate picture of the people around you. We're going to have Mars in Gemini all month. This is really encouraging us to follow our curiosity. It's a great time to dabble in new activities without really committing to anything. Just go try new things out. Don't think that it's going to be the next big thing for you. Gemini energy is especially supportive of learning, so it's a really good time to take classes or any kind of educational pursuits. We're probably going to be feeling really passionate about our ideas, right? Gemini is the mind, Mars is action. What could go wrong here? Well, just because a thought occurs to us does not mean it's the right time to act on it. Our actions are going to be best supported this month when we're following through with plans that were made last month or earlier. If we get the urge to change direction, which will probably happen, the best thing we can do is just begin researching our potential plan and wait for Mercury to be direct before making a final decision. Now we're going to get to have Venus in Virgo starting August 4th. So there's a lot going on around August 4th and 5th. We've got new moon in some time zones. We've got Mercury retrograde, and we've got this Venus into Virgo. And Venus, it's pretty much all month. Venus is in Virgo through August 28th, helping us to remember the small pleasures in life. So much of this month's astrology involves the mental struggle between trying to do too much and the realization that it's not the right timing to push ourselves. So I think we can lean into Venus and Virgo to help us enjoy being productive on a small scale. If we're feeling overwhelmed about, let's say, cleaning up our living space, just start by cleaning one small area to feel that instant success. Okay, the countertop. Boom. One area. Then you can do this for large projects too that might be overwhelming you. Make a really realistic to-do list and just savor those victories of the small wins. It actually is kind of the month for low-hanging fruit. It's okay. You're going to need that boost to feel like, okay, at least this little thing is now crossed off my list. On the 29th, Venus moves into Libra, and that's actually the sign that it rules. So, as the month closes, we could be ready for some kind of a special treat just for getting through the retrograde, for getting our work done. Social interactions, I think, are going to feel a lot easier towards the end of the month because at that point, Mercury will be direct. So, once Venus moves into Libra on the 29th, I'm thinking, maybe the final days of August could hold romantic promise for people. We're freshly out of the Mercury retrograde, and there is what's known as a shadow period that lasts usually for a couple weeks after. But that doesn't mean you can't slowly start feeling these connections. The energy is shifting, and I think it will feel slightly less confusing at month's end. So I'm hoping you can make the most of August astrology. I look forward to your next forecast in September.